Welcome to the first episode of Weekly Insights, a series in which I create a video every week to talk about the most important things that I found throughout the week. These videos are similar to the ones created by Ali Abdal in his monthly favorites series, and he inspired me to create these videos. So if you haven't checked out his channel, please do so. So the idea behind the series is that I would talk about all the things that have been helpful for me throughout the week, have helped me to become a better person, could potentially be helpful for you, and even can change your lives. So that's the motive behind the series. So let's start by talking about all the things that I will be covering in today's episode. So I will start by talking about a very good podcast by Lex Fridman with Vitalik Buterin. Secondly, I will talk about a blog post called The Ultimate Guide of Writing Online by Perell. Thirdly, I will talk about a book called 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. The thing that I will be talking about is an app called Notion. Let's start today's episode. So firstly, I'll talk about a podcast by Lex Fridman with Vitalik Buterin. Now, if you don't know who Vitalik Buterin is, he is the well-known figure in blockchain community. He is the founder of Ethereum, the second most famous cryptocurrency after Bitcoin. So in his podcast, he talks about what is money, what is blockchain, what is cryptocurrency, how it can change our future, what algorithms run on it like proof of stake, proof of work, how consensus is made for things. So if you haven't checked that podcast out, please do it. It's really good. Now, you might be not that interested in technology or blockchain in particular, but there are certain parts of the podcast like what is money. That portion of the podcast is very interesting because Vitalik talks about the idea that money is like a game where we humans are trying to rank ourselves based on money. Now there can be many methods of classifying, like categorizing someone as successful or not, but money is one of the most used thing which is used to categorize human as useful or not. Now another thing he talks about is how money is not being backed by anything. So if you look at the history, money was first being backed by gold, but now there are a lot of floating currencies and they're not really backed by anything. So how is it possible? But he talks about that in 21st century we are moving to a society where literally nothing is backed by anything. So if you look at Twitter, so he gave the same example, by the way. I'm just giving the same example because it was so fascinating. So look at Twitter. The value is created by the number of people that are in the platform. So if more people are on the platform, it's more valuable. So basically, the whole value comes from the networking effect. So if I create another app which may not be even better than Twitter, if there are more people in it, if more people are using it, it automatically becomes valuable. Next on the list we have The Ultimate Guide of Writing Online, a blog post by Perell. Now, even if you don't want to start writing, or even if you think that writing is useless, like I used to think when I was in high school, so I always used to bunk English class, or even if I attended the class, I would not pay any attention or just use my laptop. And I used to think that English is, like any language for that matter, not English, any language is useless, because I was a guy who was too much into sciences, and I believed that physics and math are the basic language, basic building blocks of the world. So why care about any language, except for programming languages, of course. But after reading the blog post, I realized that is not true. To convey any idea, to convey any message, I should be able to present myself either in the form of blogs or videos, and I'm doing both right now. And that will allow me to reach wider audience and share my ideas, which earlier I would never be able to do so. So if you're like me, if you think that if you are like old me, and if you think that writing is useless, just read that blog post, because it starts by saying why writing is important, and then it walks you through the process of becoming a good writer, what you should do, how you should start. If you don't have any idea, then what you should do. If you don't know what to write about, if you don't know how to write, everything. He talks about everything in great detail. So please have a look at the blog post. It's really good. Now, one thing I disagree with him is on writing on Medium, because I write on Medium because it allows me to reach wider audience, and it allows me to just have a starting point. Like in the blog post, he says that you should have your own website and you should write on that. which is really great, which actually what you should do. But I was at a position where I cannot publish my own website right now. I'm making it, and when it's done, I'll publish it. Even if I publish it, I won't have users, I won't have any audience, and that is because of SEO. And yeah, if I keep publishing on it and keep putting it on social media sites, I will gradually get audience. But Medium is a platform where I can try out few things and see what works or what not, and then I can get my audience from there and then redirect them to my website, which I've seen a lot of people doing it on Medium. So next up on the list, we have a book called 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel with Blake Masters. Now, if you're someone who is thinking of doing entrepreneurship or starting your own startup or run your own business, or you already have a business or a startup, then you should definitely read this book, because it talks about the kind of mindset you should have when you are starting your own startup and few things that you should take care of. This book starts with a very beautiful question: what important truth do very few people agree with you on? Now, when I read that, at first I couldn't understand what is actually asking, but after I read that chapter, I realized that it is asking me to think of something which is true, but very few people agree with that it is true. For example, in case of iPhone, when iPhone was first launched, many people believed that it won't work because it was touchscreen. And at that time, 65% people literally preferred having a phone with keyboard. Another example would be of Oracle, how Oracle was founded. So what happened was IBM launched a paper related to relational databases. Now, Larry Ellison thought that is a very good idea, but experts believe that it won't work. Experts believe that is not the future, and no one really thought that relational database could be useful. But that was the thing, very few people agreed on it. Even the experts didn't believe it. And Larry Ellison took that idea and moved it forward because he believed in it. So that's what this book asks you to do. That's just the first chapter actually. Then it talks about what other things you should be caring about, like how to build your team. So you should start, which is pretty obvious, you should start with small team with 3 or 4 people, and those should be like-minded individuals so that you don't have conflicts. And he says that most of the startups fail not because of the competition but because of internal conflicts. So yeah, that was pretty basic idea, pretty obvious thing, but there were other few things like which particularly struck with me was the idea of sales. So I am a guy who believes that if I have a good product, if I have something that is very useful, then it will automatically sell itself. And I used to think that Tesla and SpaceX, both the companies does the same thing, that they have a very good product, they have a very good idea, and it automatically sells itself. They don't run advertisements that much. But that is not actually true. And the idea is that the sales should be hidden. For example, like right now I am presenting myself to you. So that is basically sales. I am selling myself to you. Even if I don't say subscribe to me, like I'm not saying, but just to show you. So yeah, and if you subscribe to me without me saying it, that's the sale. I'm able to get a subscription, not even by saying that I want a subscription, even though I want it. So that's the idea of hidden sales. Now finally, let's talk about a note-taking app called Notion. Now there are tons of videos on YouTube about Notion, but I thought that I would include it at least at the end of this video because it's such a great app and it has definitely changed my life. Now, before Notion, I never used to take notes. Like I used to use Trello a bit, but never for notes. Was just like I would just write 2-3 lines about what my idea is and then store it in a Trello column and making a to-do list, done list, resources list, etc. But I would never really be able to organize it properly and a lot of different things, and I could never link the ideas. Like, for example, this is the idea and this is the idea, this is the resource from which I got the idea, but I cannot link them, which was not available in Trello, and Notion allowed me to do so. Best thing I liked about Notion was that first of all, you can bring everything from Trello or everything from Evernote or any note-taking app to the Notion, which is pretty great, so you don't lose anything. If I get idea from watching some YouTube video, I can save that YouTube video using a web clipper. So I can just click on the Notion extension and it automatically saves the whole video with URL, with the date when I watched it and everything about it. And then, for example, after watching the video, I get some idea. I can just quickly write in my ideas database that this is the idea I got, and I can link it to the video. So whenever I need to write a blog or I need to create a video about it, I can just be like, go to idea and then look from where I got this idea from. And I can get the same idea from various sources, and I can link all those sources to the same idea. Now, if you use it, you will realize how great it is. That's it for today's episode. See you next time.